Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Amina Faruta. Okay, Issei Sagawa. So Issei Sagawa was born on April 26, 1949. So when he was born to Akira Sagawa. Not much is said about his mom, but he came from a very rich family. He was the second among two kids, so he had an elder brother. And so when he was born premature, so they said he was so small that he could fit into his father's palm. And a few months later, he developed enteritis, that's a disease of the small intestine. So after he was treated of it, and after some time, he said as a boy, he noticed that something within him was going on, which was just off. Something within him was off. And there was a time that he met with a psychologist, and when he found out that he had to meet with psychologists in person and he had to undergo all of this treatment, he just withdrew. So Issei Sagawa he took, because he was weak, he considered himself weak, ugly, small, and unhealthy. So he just took to literature. He was just studying literature. He wasn't too active, you get. So he just faced literature. So while he was into literature, he said he had this uncle that always came to their house. He played with the kids. So while he would play with them, he would just dress up as this monster that wants to eat them up, and then they would be running and screaming around the house. He would be chasing them. He said he was fascinated by this place, so he just fell in love with cannibalism, monsters, and all of those things. His favorite novel was Hansel and Gretel. So he said while he was in first grade, I think he was about 6 or 7 years old at this time, he saw one of his schoolmates, a boy, was putting on shorts, and then he said he thought to himself that, wow, that's a delicious looking pie, I want to have a bite of it. So when he grew up, in his home, he was loved, like he came from this very normal home, but they did not talk much about maturity, sex, or anything that has to do with the opposite gender. He said later gave a confession that while he was within the compound, that he used to engage in bestiality with pets in the house. So when he grew up at the age of, like, he was very intelligent. At the age of 24, he was already doing his masters. So while he was doing his master, he saw a German woman, and he said he liked the woman, and he kind of like followed this woman unknown to her home. And then at night, he broke into her apartment. He attacked her. Then she just woke up. She beat him up. She threw him to the ground. She beat him up and then called the cops. So when she called the cops, he was arrested. So you see, when he was arrested, he said they were charging him for rape, for attempted rape. He said he wasn't attempting to rape her. He did not want to have any sexual. He just wanted to take a bite of her bottom and then eat it. He wanted to have a taste of her bottom. Well done, guy. So that was just what he wanted. So he was charged with attempted rape. So his dad, being the Ogbo challenger, the guy get money, so he just came to the rescue. Like, they settled out of court. He gave the victim an undisclosed amount of money, and then the case was just gone. So let's just proceed to 1977. Issei is doing his PhD in Sorbonne, France. So he proceeded to do his PhD there. So in literature. So while he was studying there, he fell in love with this lady. He saw this lady, and he said around those times he would just invite sex workers to the house, and while they will not be interested in anything they have to do. So while their back is to him, like they are facing away from him, he will just take a gun, like he was attempting to kill someone, he was trying to kill someone. But most time the guy leave and he fail, and he no fit. So at the end of the day, they will just get bored sex workers, and he will pay them, and then they will go back home. Unknown to them. But some of them said they just think to themselves, this guy is weird, he's somehow, so they just go. So he fell in love with one of his classmates, Renee Hartfeld, sorry. So when he fell in love with her, he just wanted to be friends with her at first, and then probably tell her whatever it was he had for her. So he thought to himself that Renee was beautiful, she was healthy, and then she was tall. She stood at 4'10". So he just felt that these were characteristics that he lacked. So he became friends with her. They would study together. So on this day, she visited his home. I think it was in July of 1981. She visited his home. That should be July 9th, 1981. So she visited his home, and they were studying together. While they were studying together, they were having alcohol. So he just waited for like the drinks to kick in. So when they kick in, the guy will spill, he will tell her I'm sleeping. So when he noticed that the drinks were already kicking in, he just told her, babe, I like you, Alpha, go the other room. So she was like, bros, nothing for you. Our friends will just be, I know I don't like you, but I don't too like you like that. You understand that they also want to be friends, and he just pretended like everything was normal. He said, okay, so they could go back to the radio. So when he went back to studying, she had her back to him. So she then Issei had the time to pick up a rifle, and then he shot her in the neck. When he shot her in the neck, he himself fainted out of shock. And then said when he woke up, he saw what he had done. And then he said he couldn't stop here, like he has gone this way, he had to like continue with it. So Issei proceeded to like dismembering her body. Before now, he had learnt the act of butchering from a professional butcher. Like he met a butcher, he asked him how he went about, how he cut his meat. So he got a butcher knife in his house. So he took the butcher knife, he cut her body, because he said at first he had wanted to like bite off her body, bite her thigh, her bottom, and feed on all of those parts. But his teeth, the flesh was too strong for his teeth, so he took the butcher knife, dismembered her body. Before doing that, he actually had necrophilia. Necrophilia is sex with a dead body, so he slept with her. So he slept with her corpse, and after that, he took the butcher knife, cut some part of her body. He cooked some while he ate some other parts raw. Then he started from her breast, said he fed on her breast, her genital, and all of that. And then he kept the other part in the freezer for like 3 days. So it's July 12 now. He moved the body into 2 suitcases, like the remains of Renee. So he moved them inside two suitcases, and then he hailed a cab. When he entered the cab, like the cab driver was assisting him with the box, and the man was like, wow, these bags are so heavy, what did you have like a body in there? You get, he just gave this awkward laugh, and then they waved it off. So this cab driver took him, he was going to a lake, he wanted to dispose these boxes at the lake. So when they drove there to this beach, it was around 9 p.m. at night. So when they got to this place, he was moving, the cab driver left, he was trying to like move these suitcases. When he moved them, he was going towards the lake. But before getting to the lake, he got tired and wanted to rest a bit. So he left the bags. He decided to just take a stroll, like breathe in some fresh air. So when he was moving away from the boxes, a man came. And the man was like, who owns these suitcases? How did they get here? The man called him, and the man was like, hey, are you the owner of these boxes? He said he actually thought of saying yes to the man, but he just wanted to waive the question, and he wanted the man to leave because he was tired. So he said no. So now the man, being the Oliver Twist that he is, are you enjoying this story? This was fun. So he was thinking to himself that probably there's a very huge amount of money inside the bag. He can't say make you open the bag, means see what it is inside. When he opened the bag, he saw the unspeakable. So when he saw those things, he immediately called the cops. When the cops came, they were trying to like figure out who brought these 2 boxes here. And then some persons around the beach said they saw like this skinny Asian man dragging some suitcases towards the beach, and everybody starts searching for this scrawny Asian man. And then they started calling all these cab companies, trying to get if anyone actually drove someone down to the lake or to the beach side with 2 heavy suitcases. And then somebody came up, and it was like, he took this very skinny Asian man, and he brought him to this place. The man really had some really heavy suitcases. So when he came there, then he took them to Issei's house. When they got to Issei's house, Issei did not pretend, like he did not just try to like deny anything. He told them yes, that he had done it. He told them the reason he had done it was because the reason he had chosen Renee was because she was healthy, she was beautiful. And according to him, he said these are characteristics that he lacked. So he actually wanted to possess her. He said he wanted to like absorb her energy. So that was why he told them everything. He even had pictures and videos of the whole eating process, how he dismembered her body, how he fed on her. So he just confessed everything. Now he's going to like, so they tried to like, they built up a case against him. They took him to court. While he was taking it to court, Daddy again came to the rescue. He hired a very top defense lawyer. So this lawyer came up, and they are trying to like, they want to see if he is fit to stand trial. And then the lawyer came and they are like, he's not fit to stand trial. So he was sentenced to this mental institution. So when he got to the mental institution, he was admitted in that mental institution in 1982. So from between 1982 and 1983, like the French, they were getting this negative news, negative feedback from outside about the country just because of the crimes of this man. So they decided to like deport him to his country. At this time, he was still in the mental health institution. So they deported him back to Japan. He was taken back to Japan. The Japanese like took up the case. They sent him straight. They said his actions were due to sexual perversion, that they were his motive for the murder, and because of this, the Japanese said he's evil, and then he will definitely commit it again. He's dangerous, so they wanted to send him to prosecute him on their own and send him to jail. So they requested for the documents, the case file from France, but the French authorities said they had closed the case. They were not willing to release these documents. Papa get money now, so that was it. So because the Japanese could not, like, they had no evidence, they had no case file, they could not just hold him accountable for it. So on August 12, 1986, Baba checked out of the mental health institution as a free man. So he became free, and between 1987 to 1997, like, he was going for several interviews. They were just calling him as guest speaker, commentators, even acted in some movie. We have Unfaithful Wife. There's even featured in several documentaries. There are several stories that involved him. So he was just featuring, he was going up and down. He was even started writing magazines and articles about his cannibalistic tendencies, all of his thoughts of eating human flesh and all those things. So at some point, the producers decided to stop supporting him, to stop doing all of these things for him. So he was looking for ways to survive. Then in 2005, both his parents, they died. So after he lost his parents, he was not allowed to attend the funeral of his parents. Then he lived off of he was receiving some benefits from the state. Then after that, he also went on. There's this French school that actually wanted to offer him employment at one point. The manager of this school said he wanted to give him employment as a lecturer in the school because he felt that because he was impressed by his courage, the fact that he kept using his name. He decided not to change his name despite the crimes and all of those things. But the other employees around the place, they protested, and because of this, he did not get the job. So in 2001, he had an interview with Vice magazine in the United States. He said that trying to make a living for himself while being known as a dangerous murderer and a cannibal is the worst punishment ever. Okay, you won't know, they pity you. So in 2013, he had cerebral infarction, so because of that, since then he has been stuck in the wheelchair. So he needs assistance from either caregivers or other family members. During the time of all of this case, while this case was going on, his brother was showing public support. He showed public support, but a few months later, he actually started posting some stuff about, he said he actually had some feelings. He has some feelings, but he doesn't know, there's probably, these feelings might probably never go away. That all in all, he was trying to tell us that he also, just like his brother, feels like eating human flesh too. I think they are kind of having the competition of who is the better cannibal within the family, because Issei was quick to come up and just discard his brother's thing and just try to tell people that he is the worst of them. So he featured in different documentaries. There's the Excuse Me for Living, there's an interview with a cannibal, different documentaries, different novels written about him. And then during that, he had a very recent interview, I think it was in 2015, when he was asked that how does he feel does he feel better now? Does he still feel like eating human? He said yes, that the cannibalistic tendencies are not gone, that he still feels like eating human. And then he said, he talked about death. He said when he wants to die, that he would love to be killed by a very young. He even told them that on his way to this interview that he saw a very beautiful girl, and he actually felt like eating her thigh. He thought that she had very beautiful thighs and he wanted to have a taste of it. And he said if you want that, you would want to die by the hands of a very beautiful girl with pretty long legs. So that's it for me today, guys, on Issei Sagawa. Tell me what you think about the story. Just 5 times.